Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of our prop design series. Now in the previous video, I went over the sketching process and the reference gathering process. And in today's video, I'm going to go over the next few steps that I'm going to take. And also look at this pretty little plant that I have. Look beautiful. Actually, these are not my plants. I just got them from the living room. In the previous week, I thought I had everything figured out. I was like, okay, I got my references. Okay, I blocked out my sketch. I did all this 3D shit. Turns out I had no idea what I was making, right? And I didn't find out until I got feedback on my work. So let me walk you guys through the feedback that I got and then the next few steps that I'm going to take in order to make sure that this becomes a very successful portfolio piece, also making sure that it actually looks good. Before we get started, here's a quick message from our sponsor, which is me, myself, and I. So I finally released my very own kit bash set. So I was making a couple of rocks in my previous video, so I thought I might as well put them up for sale. So we've got a free set, and then we've got a paid full pack as well. And then we also have a premium pack that contains an additional Blender file where I use these sets to build a scene, and then also my paint over files as well, my Photoshop files. And so here we have a free pack. It contains 6 of these models, and then the full pack has 16 assets, and then the premium pack contains a Blender scene file and then 3 Photoshop paint over files. And it's pretty cheap. I've got 3 different tiers up here, so whichever one you want to get, I'm pretty sure it's going to be totally worth it. I mean, even if you just get the free pack, you can do so much with just these 6 models. So the link to this asset pack will be in the description of this video, so definitely check it out. At the end of the day, I just appreciate everyone's support. Any little bit helps. And yeah, thanks for being here. So let's move on to our project now. In the previous video, we left off where I made this asset up here and then I did a line work on it. And so I took some time out and I modeled out a couple more of these and did some line work. Now the issue that I had was that I was making these buildings. I was like, okay, so we have these houses, they're carved inside rocks, and we've got this new material that came from a meteor that crashed on this area. It's called Lorium, and people are using this material as walls around their structures. That's the extent of what my research was, but I didn't really think much about the properties of the material and how does it actually even benefit these people. Imagine you using this specific material in your daily life for the sole purpose of it making your life easier. The first question that I got asked was that, hey, so what does this material actually do? Like, why is it so cool? Why do these people want to use it? And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea, because I did not think it through, right? I was just thinking about the aesthetics. And so some of the feedback that I got up here, I actually made notes, and I like writing stuff down. I'm old school. I can't type. I don't know. I just can't type like that. So we thought it'd be cool if we came up with our own property about this material, that maybe it is a solar panel, or some sort. Maybe it's an energy source. It captures heat energy and then people can use it in some way. It's always good to think about the properties of a material first and then you think about its uses. Like, for example, I was heavily referencing Black Panther, and so they have vibranium, and vibranium is like this material that's like shock absorbent and something like that. I don't know. And that's how they made like Black Panther's suit and Captain America's shield, things like that. So that's what I had to think about. And so also I had to think about how will this material be used, if you're working a normal job, right? And so because this material is now introduced into this culture, how far ahead is this culture now? Are they doing crazy things? Are they super advanced? Or are they still, doing things the way they've been doing? Are they transitioning? So trying to figure out that part as well. And so what was going on right now is that, so these buildings, these just look like, these are cool shapes. These look like buildings, right? Looks like someone goes in here. But other than that, it's hard to tell what kind of building it is. A building is a structure that people occupy in some way, right? It could be a hospital building. It could be a restaurant. It could be an armory, maybe an area where a blacksmith is making swords or weapons. So what is it that I am making? And so we came to a conclusion that I should make a bakery. Hell yeah. And the reason why I chose that is because, I grew up in the Middle East, and, they had these shops or these bakeries where they would just make all sorts of breads and stuff. So I thought that I could totally reference my childhood memories and relive my childhood a little bit with this project. And so now I had to figure out, okay, so why would this bakery even need Lorium, the material, to do what they're supposed to do? For example, if they have a stove, instead of using propane gas or coal, why do they need this material? And the answer that I came up with was that, okay, so this material is, it's very good. It's heat absorbent. You can reuse this. It's definitely a lot more efficient. And so now the problem arises, okay, so how can we creatively implement this material into this world. I found out that in Uzbekistan they have these traditional bread making places, and it's also very similar to how they make it in Pakistan as well. The way it works is that there's a whole process of it, right? The first process is that you get the flour, you mix it with water and oil, whatever, and then you have this machine that kind of like mixes the dough, and then you have to pick it out and then kind of like use your hands to kind of like make little balls, little circles, and then you kind of like flatten them down, and then you use this little stove that's made of mud and clay, and there's heat inside of it. You know, they turn it up. They get lit with this thing. They turn up the heat in here to the point where they can start baking these breads. And so I thought it was a cool concept to explore a little bit. And so what was happening up here, like the mixing pot, there's actually a blade at the bottom of this pot, right? That's kind of like revolving, and in a way it's like mixing everything. And the way it's working is that it's working through electricity, but in my world we don't have any electricity. So I thought that I could have a mechanism where you can use the source, the energy source from these joules that kind of runs this pot. Or I also remember like there could be like a mechanism where, you know, if you've ever used those gas powered blowers, there's a little string you gotta like pull real hard and then the blower starts running. Similar concept, right? Maybe I can, instead of gas, I use this joule instead, put that on like a slot, and then I pull the string and then it starts running, and then the pot starts mixing. And then from there, they take out pieces of it and they have to like measure it. And so there's like a weighing balance for that. So that could be a second thing. And then this part right here would be my third prop. So at this point, I have like multiple props. Part of the project at this point, I mean, I should have known this, that if I were, I mean, I did this to myself. I decided to do an environment prop. So, you know, you gotta fill up an environment with more props. You know, this part right here, this is where the bread is made. You know, you got a little stand here where you have your raw bread, and then the rest of it goes inside here. There's a little bit of cushioning so that people can actually reach down and like, you know, put it in. Then you got these like rods that you can use once you're done baking. You can use it to like take them out. And then here I was kind of scribbling to see what are some of the components, like if this is like a wall inside that room, you know, so it's going to be a brick wall. We might have some stools up here, might have some rock chairs, have some clothes that are hanging on the walls, because, you know, it's a hot area, right? And then, and these people, when they're making these bread, they want to make sure their arms are covered and, you know, they don't get burned. So maybe like some spare clothes, maybe some tools hanging up here too, and then some extra cushioning for them to just like relax, and also to like lean against this this stove up here, because it's like, it's very hot. Now, how does Lorium turn this stove on? So the way these stoves work right now is that they're gas powered. They're gas pipes going underground, and then like inside there's like two pipes up here, and then you light it up, and then there's fire up here. And once it gets hot enough, you know, they turn it off. They turn off the gas. So in my case, since I'll have a structure where I'm using it as a solar panel, maybe this is my thing, and we got the joules up here that are acting as a solar panel. Maybe there's like a pipe, a heat pipe that's going down through the walls underground, and here is the stove, and then there's a little valve up here. So you turn the valve, and now the pipe is transferring heat from the solar panel down here, right? And then when it's hot enough, you turn off the valve, you know, turn the valve the other way. Yeah, so that's the idea that I have pretty much for this. And I was thinking about the composition a little bit too. You know, maybe this could be like the wall of the back entrance. We could have like 3 stoves up here, some people just sitting up here, you know, working on here, and then like stacks of bread up here. And then I did some research on like heat pipes. So it's actually a real thing. I mean, I don't think they're like super powerful, but in this world, who cares, right? I'm not an engineer. In fact, I'm getting PTSD from my chemistry class just thinking about all this stuff. But essentially a heat pipe, it's made out of copper, and it's got like a condenser, and then it also has a fluid inside. So what happens is that fluid gets hot, and as it's getting hot, it's transferring the heat throughout the pipe pretty much. And then that water, it condenses and goes back. So it's like a loop, you know, whatever. So anyways, you use this pipe to heat up water and transfer the heat from the top up here where the solar panel is, down here to where the stove is. And then the inside of the stove would be something like, I'll have like more joules up here, more heat joules. Let's call them heat joules. Heat joules, or the name that I gave it was Lorium. When heat is going through the stove, it's essentially heating up these joules, and once it gets hot enough, then you turn off the valve, right? So that's kind of the idea that had going on in my head. Now this final page, I was trying to figure out, okay, so what are the assets I need at this point? Because we're way past the point of just creating one prop, right? This is one big prop and it has like other tiny little props inside of it. So first of all, we need a main building, the main bakery, what that would look like. It's made of sand rock, clay, lorium on top. I was like really liking the direction of this one right here. Here, number 3, I don't know, it just looks like a bread. Hence, this will be our bakery. But the top roof part I really liked of number 5. So I might like merge these two together somehow. So that's the first asset, right? Then we need the mixer. So the mixer was essentially this part right here. That's mixing the dough. This can be like a super simple prop. I'm not gonna like overthink it. My main focus would be like the outside building. And then there's the stove. See, so it's gonna be a pod. We got some metal stands. We got a wheel that runs it and spins it. We got some blades inside the pod itself, and then a motor. And then a big table where, you know, they can stack up their tools. Maybe they can stack up some bread up there as well. Some chairs to sit down. It's a little bit of clothes hanging by the wall. Those 2 long tools, they're like these 2 long rods that you can use to take out the bread out of the stove. And then we got the oven, tandoor. That's what it's called. It's a tandoor oven / stove. That's the second main prop. The first main prop is the building, and the second main prop would be, you know, this guy right here. Some, you know, extra smaller assets, you know, some cushioning around it, and the metal attachment on the opening of the stone. And so like on the opening of the stone up here, like this part right here, when you start taking out the bread out, there is a metal plate up here which like hooks into the top part of this whole piece. That way you can slide your rods down and take the bread out a little bit more easily instead of rubbing it against the stove. So those are essentially all the assets I'm gonna need at this point. So it's gonna be a fun one. So let's go ahead and get started. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just start blocking out everything in 3D first. And then from there, I will just replace everything with like more high poly assets. I will also go back to 3D code and kind of work on this model a little bit more, refine it up a little bit. This will be the main bakery shape. And then I also Google translated Arabic words. Maftuh means open, mughlaq means closed. So it could be like, okay, we're open for business, a sign for that, then another sign for like, okay, we're closed for business or something like that. And I'm thinking that maybe this is a place where it's one of those places where you just can't sit and eat. It's more just like you go to the window, you ask for bread and you get bread. And I'm also thinking that maybe I can put like some chairs outside, you know, some maybe chairs up here, some more shades, tarp hanging up here on the side. We got some chairs, some tables, maybe some down here too. Maybe we have a big palm tree. Under that palm tree, there's a little bit of shade and some more chairs or something, you know, a place where people can sit and socialize and enjoy their bread. You know, it's all about getting that bread, you guys, and enjoying life. Okay, so these were the 3D models that I had. I'm going to go with this one right here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to go ahead and export out this part like super low poly because I still want to add more detail so that I can use it as a blockout for now. You know what I mean? So I've selected the layers that contain this part up here. Gonna right click. We're gonna go to export selected objects. Let's go FBX. The recommended amount is 2 million. I'm gonna take it down to like, let's just do like 100K, I guess. Okay, so we're in Blender now. I hit File, Import, FBX, and I got it. And yeah, it's pretty low poly, and you know, that's what I need, right? It's not low poly. I mean, it's still like 167,000 faces, but it's still like not very well detailed. But I just wanted to put some assets down here just to kind of start planning things out a little bit for myself. So what I'm thinking that essentially it's going to be like the entrance. I'm going to change the entrance to where it's just a window. And then you have like some more rods up here just holding this piece together. There's going to be a back door down here. This is where the employees go in through the building. And then inside of it, I want to make it in such a way where there are going to be 2 rooms in here. I think I'll stretch it out a little bit more. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to delete some of these faces up front. Just delete it. There you go. Okay, let's just delete that for now. That way I can see a little bit better. So right now this space is very it's very tall. Maybe I can make it a little bit smaller, just like a little bit longer, I guess. So I'm thinking that there are going to be 2 rooms here. I'm just going to separate them out with these planes for now. We'll have the entrance up here, which is just going to be a window through which customers come and place their order. It's going to be like a to-go place. So look at this, is going to be the back wall. All the baking is going to be happening in this part. Actually, let's grab a UV sphere. Select this, tab, wireframe. Okay. And then I think I'll just select this. So we'll have 3 stoves, right? We'll have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's actually a pretty narrow place, so we can actually squash this down a little bit more. Okay, it could be something like this. And so here's where all the cooking happens, the baking, whatever. And then we're gonna have some tables up here. And then on this part, we will have those mixers up here. These are gonna be on the corner. One here, one here, one here. Then we have like supports, right? Metal supports. Get a cube. For example, if I set a camera like right here, I've got enough room to kind of like showcase that. This could be a shot though, just kind of showing those pots that are mixing the stuff in. And I can increase my focal length of my camera. For interiors, you can like bump it down to like 20 millimeters. Then the other side could be like a shot like this. So maybe I should just put the tables on this side instead. Something like that. Now each table is gonna have like a specific role that's gonna be happening on. So like here, you have the dough that's gonna be mixing. Once it's done getting mixed, then it goes down to this table where one of the guys starts breaking it apart and putting it into smaller pieces. And there's gonna be another guy up here who's gonna be then measuring like the weight of the doughs up here. And then on these 2 tables, they're gonna start like flattening up those breads. Actually, I feel like I should just need 3 tables at that point then. Just like, you know, measuring. Or you know what? Maybe 2 tables could be okay also, because you know, you can just use 1 table for like making into small pieces up here. This guy measures it, then it goes up here, and then they start flattening them out. And then from there, it goes up to this room up here, where then it goes down here, gets baked, and then these are for display. Like they can start collecting them right up here. And then there's gonna be a window up here. This is gonna be pretty much be the entrance. And there's gonna be a window up here. Let's grab a boolean. Just kind of illustrate that. Maybe there's a window somewhere, something like that. And we'll design the window a little bit better. And then from here they start, you know, giving out these breads. And then maybe the shape of the structure is, so I really like the shape because then since the shape of the building has like this thing up front, it could act as a shade for people who are waiting in line, you know, like something like this. And then we can add some tarp up here as well on the window itself. Kind of like just a curtain that's drawn on the outside. So like, I guess whenever they're closed, they can just like put up this curtain or something with like a little door as well. So that's kind of like the rough layout I have in mind for this, honestly. Maybe there's another table that has some of the doughs that are like wrapped in plastic for like storage purposes, something that I can use like in the next few days, or they can also have like stacks of flour. And then this is the other room. Go up here, and then here you start baking, my bad. And then here you start putting up whatever that's baked, and then here's the window to all the customers. And now I got to figure out an opening for the pipes that come down here. The pipes to come down here and put some that are like light up these pots, these stoves. And the idea is that we're gonna have these jewels essentially that are acting as a heat source to light it up. So maybe there is a pipe of some sort. And we can have the pipes be another one coming through here, another coming through here. And I've got to figure out what do solar panels even look like? How are they connected? So it looks like the way it works is that there's a bracket of some sort, and then these panels are like sitting on top of it. So in our case, what we could do is that we could have maybe like some sort of extrusion happening inwards, and then these jewels are sitting on top of it. And then there's a pipe that's going through the rock into the jewels. That could be something. But I guess as far as the layout of everything goes, this is kind of like a good place to be. We also need like proper ventilation, so maybe we'll have some windows up here. I guess I'll just select something like this. Faces, delete that. The first window, hell yeah. Yeah, let's go. So you got two windows here. For now, I kind of like this shape. It looks very organic to some extent. Cross ventilation. Gonna be cooking our bread up here. We'll have some tables, we'll have some chairs as well here. We'll have some more cloth hanging. Clothes. Let's just use the same thing. I think I'm gonna design this prop right here, and then this thing. I'm gonna design these in 3D code, and then the rest I can probably just either download the assets or just make them in Blender. I'll do some cloth simulation in 3D code as well, because I felt like the cloth sims in 3D code worked so well when I was experimenting with it. And actually, you know what? I'm thinking, what if we have two windows on this side instead, and you start selling bread on this side? So instead of the shape being looking like this, maybe it looks like this instead. Oh shit, you know what we could do? This could be the bakery, and then here, since there's that shape, we could put some tables and chairs for customers to sit down and eat up here. Yo, that'd be so sick. Hold on. So for example, right, something like that maybe. So yeah, I feel like I like this idea a little bit more. And then we can probably have a palm tree or something down here. Got a tree up here, another tree up here. And maybe there's another tarp as well. We got one tarp here, kind of like just hanging down here. Maybe there's another tarp that's hanging between the trees. I like this idea. Then now we can have like, I feel like it's more, and then you grab your food, you grab your bread, come around, just sit and just chill up here for a little bit. Once you're done eating, then you head out. Probably put these step stones. I like this. I like where this is going. Or you know what? I feel like it'll make more sense if I put the bags of flowers close to these pots here, because then you can easily take and put them down there. And then you go down here, start baking it, start selling it right here. Oh my God, these rocks are floating in the air. And then you walk. And then you come out here and eat. Hell yeah. Liked it. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to start building it out in 3D code, my main forms at least. And then we'll use Blender to put the whole scene together. So I spent some time modeling out everything. So let's go ahead and look at the rooms. So the one in the back right here, just use simple cylinders and cubes to just, model out all of this for the most part. This chain up here, I used an array for it. Pretty much it's just like chunks of chain that I copied and just placed around it, whatever got the job done for the camera angle. And then here I have two people. I got these people from Mixamo, just like regular men. And you can actually, alter the pose if you click on the bone structure, then go to pose mode and come up here and like rotate it, do whatever you want. So it's pretty cool in that sense. And this bone structure is actually on the back, so you have to like change it to bring it up front, that way you can actually see it and move stuff around. The way I made these doughs was it was a lot of fun. I used meatball. Not sure if you guys ever played with it, but it's pretty cool. You just use meatball right here. And the way it works is that you can just hit Shift D and you start duplicating, and it gives you like these organic forms. So I thought it'd be a good way to, you know, make those doughs. And then these bags of flour, I just looked up a tutorial on how to make a pillow in Blender. Just do that and it's fine. Put a label up here that says flour. And this up here too, just simple cloth simulation. And then here, the story that I wanted to show was that we got these two guys, you know, working on making the bread. And this guy's like changing the battery so that these mixers run. And the battery is actually these jewels up here, which are obviously just little pieces of cubes for now. So that was essentially the first room. And then this room right here, I use those same models again. I have like one guy up here pulling out the bread from the stove, and then the guy's like bringing him some more, and then this guy's up here, you know, looking after these, and then this dude up here is selling the bread to this lady up here, kind of like that for the most part. And then the outside part, I didn't really model out this part quite yet. I'm thinking that maybe the tables and chairs, I could probably make them look like more organic as well, like how like they're probably like carved inside rocks in a way. So I'll probably end up making that in 3D code as well. Then these palm trees, I just have an add-on for, you know, my vegetation. Let's see if I can find it. Spawn acid. I've got like some palm trees from Botanic. So I just drop one of these up here, and these could be, you know, somewhere up here maybe. Probably have one up here. Maybe have one up here. Maybe I can put one up here also. I don't know. After blocking everything out, I thought it'd be cool if I did like a line art pass. So the way you can do that is that first, just go to your render settings, change to workbench, and then you want to make sure you have it on flat lighting, and then check the outline button. And when you render it right now, you'll get like this nice little line art of some sort. Now this line art is very thin, so when you render, it's gonna be like super thin. So you want something a little bit more thicker. So in that case, we're gonna use freestyle. So by default, it's checked off. Just go ahead and click on it. Once you click on it up here, you go to your layer properties, and you get this freestyle option that pops up. And then for this, you gotta like scroll down all the way and look for, where is it? Look for this option, freestyle thickness. And from here, you will select a modifier. And then here you can just go to, where is it? A long stroke. Yeah, you want to click the first option. And when you click that option, you get this box that pops up. And by default, the blend mode is on mix, I think. So you change it to multiply. And then your mapping by default is linear. You want to change that to curve. And then this graph, by default, it's something like this. Like it's straight up, it's a linear graph like that. So to do that, you got to like pull this down and just like, it's going to be this way. You pull this up like that. If you want to change the thickness of your line, you can do it so by this option here. By default, it was set to like 3, so I brought it up to 4 just so that it's a little bit more thicker, but you can play around with this value. And once you do that, that's pretty much it. And when you render it, give it a sec, and then it'll like show you the line work. So once it's done rendering, you get something like this. You know, I feel like for what it's worth, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect. You would definitely want to do like a line art pass on top of it in Photoshop, but it's still a good way for you to like, you know, start doing your line work. So you can just come up here, go to image, hit save. And I ended up doing both of these renders for my shots. And so this was the first one and this was the second one. So I'm gonna go to Photoshop and like draw over it, and then we'll pick up next week for the progression of this piece. Ugh, I got a pimple on my nose, bro. Alright, you guys, so that should be all for today's video. Thank you so much for coming by and watching this. Next week, I'm planning to spend most of my time inside of 3D code so that I can model and texture out my two main props. But it also depends on my feedback that I get. So I don't know what's gonna happen. But this is like a good stopping point where, you know, you blocked everything out in 3D. And so the next step is either you just keep working on this 3D scene, or you take it to Photoshop, do a line art pass on it, just so that you can clear out your thoughts and add some more things to it. Sometimes it's a lot faster and easier to sketch things than it is to model everything out. And also it gives you an opportunity to like think about what more assets you need in your scene. So that's what I'm gonna do as well. And then, you know, I'll see, I'm probably gonna get some feedback on it as well. And then we're gonna apply that feedback next week. We're gonna talk about it as well. And then spend most of our time in 3D code, you know, modeling and texturing. So yeah, thank you so much for coming by. I'll see you guys in the next one.